You ever notice how the so-called perfect American family looks like one of those cookie-cutter Instagram posts? Smiling wife with pumpkin spice latte, husband grilling burgers like he's auditioning for a Home Depot commercial, and two kids running around in brand-new sneakers that mysteriously never get dirty. That was me, or at least that's the illusion I sold. Suburban house, 2 cars in the driveway, golden retriever barking at Amazon drivers. I was the walking commercial of the American dream, except apparently my dream came with a subscription fee I didn't know about, payable in monthly installments of betrayal and infidelity. My wife, bless her heart, played the part of devoted partner so well she could have won an Emmy. PTA meetings, Christmas sweaters, love you honey texts every morning. Meanwhile, she was starring in an entirely different reality show, keeping up with the business partner's baby. That's right, my business partner, the man who clinked beers with me after signing our first big contract, the guy who told me we're brothers for life, was also sneaking around with my wife, turning my family portrait into a toxic love triangle with more drama than daytime TV. You think you know betrayal? Try realizing the same guy you split profits with is also splitting your marriage bed. The signs were all there. I just played the classic American husband role. Too busy chasing the next big deal, too blinded by the idea of providing for the family, BDA, to notice the cracks in the foundation. She'd stay late at yoga, and I'd nod like an idiot thinking she was mastering downward dog instead of my business partner. She'd text in the middle of the night, and when I asked who it was, she said it was her mom. Funny how her mom's number matched the same area code as my partner's burner phone. Looking back, I was the punchline to a cosmic joke, the guy in the conspiracy forum who doesn't realize the government is watching him through his toaster. Except in my case, the conspiracy was in my own living room. The ultimate gut punch came when she announced she was pregnant. I thought, finally, our family is expanding. Maybe this will bring us closer. I was ready to buy baby clothes, paint the nursery, play lullabies on Spotify. But no, turns out I wasn't the main character in this baby storyline. I was just the investor who didn't read the fine print. My business partner was the executive producer of this little side project, and my wife was happily starring in it. Betrayal so deep it made Shakespeare look like light comedy. Revenge started boiling inside me right then, but not the loud, dramatic kind. I'm talking the quiet, American psycho with a smile type of revenge. The kind where you keep flipping burgers at the backyard BBQ while mentally plotting how to torch someone's world without lighting a single match yourself. It wasn't just about cheating, it was about the conspiracy against me. Because think about it, she cheats with my business partner, gets pregnant, and keeps playing happy wife while I'm funding her lifestyle. That's not an accident, that's an inside job. And once I saw it that way, I couldn't unsee it. Every smile, every "honey, how was your day?" every kiss on the cheek. It was all part of the cover-up. And me? I was the clueless guy they thought would never figure it out. Classic American tragedy with a twist of parody. The man who builds an empire only to have it crumble because of toxic love and infidelity hiding in plain sight. Now, don't get me wrong. I could have confronted her right then and there, screamed, cried, asked why she did it. But where's the fun in that? No, in America we like our drama slow-cooked, served with a side of sweet revenge. I decided if they wanted to play games, I'd flip the board entirely. I wasn't just going to expose their affair, I was going to make them wish they never met me, never messed with my family, never crossed the line between business and betrayal. Call it petty, call it evil, but when your whole life is turned into a parody of trust and love, revenge becomes the only punchline worth delivering. And so I sealed. I kissed her on the forehead, congratulated her on our baby, and went to bed. But in my mind, I was already building the blueprint for their downfall. Because in America, betrayal isn't just personal, it's business. And business is about to get very, very ugly. They say the truth sets you free, but in my case, The truth showed up in a cheap CVS receipt and locked me in a cage of rage. Picture this. I'm digging through my wife's purse because she suddenly became allergic to letting me near it, like her handbag was Fort Knox. What do I find? A pharmacy slip, prenatal vitamins charged at the same time my partner had been working late. Now, maybe I'm paranoid, but when two snakes shed their skin in the same corner, you don't call it coincidence. You call it a nest. That was the first nail in the coffin. Next came the text messages, the kind that make your stomach churn and your brain scream, "Throw the phone into the ocean." I wasn't snooping, okay? I was doing investigative journalism in my own house. And what I uncovered was Pulitzer-worthy. Little love notes about our baby, emojis that made me gag, and the most insulting part, inside jokes about me. They actually called me ATM with feelings. Imagine being reduced to a walking bank account in your own marriage. That's not infidelity, that's corporate-level embezzlement of the soul. But the pièce de résistance, the smoking gun, came at the company Christmas party. Oh yeah, Betrayal always loves a holiday backdrop. Everyone sipping eggnog, Mariah Carey blasting for the 1,000th time, and there she is, my wife, giving my partner that we share a secret no one else knows look. Except it wasn't subtle. It was practically broadcasted in 4K with surround sound. And then I see it, his hand gently resting on her lower back, like he's not just supporting her through pregnancy, but through a shared empire of lies. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just cheating. This was a hostile takeover of my life. My family and my business were under the same corporate raider, and his name was written across my wife's maternity dress. Now here's where the American paranoia kicks in. Because once you realize two people are lying, you start suspecting everyone. Was my mother-in-law in on it? She kept pushing me to spend more time with your partner. He's such a good man. Was she a double agent? Was the baby shower going to be a stage celebration of my humiliation? I wouldn't put it past them. Betrayal makes you see shadows in daylight, and I was convinced the whole neighborhood was laughing at me. You'd think I'd explode right then, right? Flip the Christmas tree, grab the microphone, and yell, "Ladies and gentlemen, the father of this baby is standing right here wearing a Santa tie." But no, I didn't. Because revenge is an art form, and you don't ruin the gallery opening by screaming during setup. Instead, I smiled, toasted them with champagne, and silently promised myself their downfall would be biblical. But here's the satirical twist. Part of me found it hilarious. The whole setup was so absurd it could have been an SNL sketch. My wife, the PTA angel, sneaking around with my business partner who couldn't even manage to fix his own Wi-Fi, suddenly playing house behind my back. It was less Romeo and Juliet and more Jerry Springer meets Shark Tank. And the pregnancy? That was just the cherry on top of the world's most toxic love sundae. I spent nights lying awake, not crying, but laughing at the irony. Here I was, the guy who preached about loyalty, who built a company on trust, who believed in the sanctity of family. And my wife turned out to be running an underground operation of betrayal in my own bed. It was almost poetic, if poetry came in the form of late-night text notifications and prenatal appointments disguised as book club. Bam, the paranoia mixed with comedy until it birthed something stronger. Clarity. I realized I wasn't just the victim of infidelity. I was the unwilling protagonist in a conspiracy thriller where the villains underestimated the wrong man. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't break you. It rewires you. I stopped thinking like a husband and started thinking like a tactician. If this was war, I wasn't just going to fight back. I was going to nuke the battlefield. So I let them play. I let them think they were clever, hiding behind carpool excuses and business trips. I let them believe they were building a future together. And while they were busy giggling about our baby, I was busy collecting receipts, recording conversations, lining up lawyers like chess pieces. Revenge wasn't just a fantasy anymore. It was a business strategy. And unlike my partner, I actually knew how to win. And that's the cruel, funny part of it all. The more they betrayed me, the easier it became to set the trap. They were writing the script of their own downfall, and I was just the director making sure the final act ended in fire. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but I wanted mine flash frozen, shrink wrapped, and delivered with free 2-day Prime shipping. You see, the average American husband who catches his wife cheating either cries into a Bud Light or posts something vague on Facebook about loyalty. Not me. I decided if Betrayal was going to turn my life into a soap opera, then I was going to be both the writer and the director of the finale. And oh boy, did I have a script. Step 1. The business. My partner thought he was slick, running his little side operation with my wife while running numbers through our company like no one was watching. But remember, I wasn't just a husband. I was the guy who handled the accounts, the contracts, the fine print. He could play daddy with my wife, but I was about to play God with his career. I started quietly collecting evidence. Shady invoices, personal expenses hidden in business receipts, even a business lunch charged to the company card at a maternity store. That one nearly made me choke on my coffee. Who writes off pregnancy pants as a tax deduction? Only an idiot drunk on infidelity. Step 2. The marriage. Oh, I wasn't going to just divorce her. That would have been too easy. No, I wanted a Broadway-level production where every lie she told unraveled in front of the entire audience. I secretly transferred half our assets into accounts she couldn't touch, froze the credit cards, and scheduled a little meeting with my lawyer, who, by the way, happens to be my cousin and enjoys revenge stories almost as much as Netflix does. By the time she'd figure it out, she'd have less financial power than a kid running a lemonade stand in winter. Step 3. The stagecraft. Americans love spectacle, right? Football games? Fireworks? Reality TV? So why not turn my revenge into a show? I planned the reveal at a company event, the one night of the year when everyone who mattered in our business world was in the same room. Imagine it. Chandeliers, champagne, business suits, and me stepping up to the microphone, not to thank the shareholders, but to introduce the star of the biggest betrayal since Judas, my partner and my wife. The thought of their faces in that moment kept me going like espresso shots straight into my veins. Now, let me sprinkle in the conspiracy flavor, because once betrayal rewires your brain, you start seeing plots everywhere. I began to wonder, was this whole thing bigger than me? Was I just a pawn in some suburban Illuminati ritual where wives and business partners exchange roles to destabilize the American family unit? Maybe. Or maybe I was just a husband with too much time and access to Reddit. Either way, the paranoia fueled me. I started keeping a notebook labeled Operation Payback, like some CIA dossier, and let me tell you, writing down ruin partner, expose wife, reclaim empire, felt better than therapy. But here's the satire. Even as I plotted, I kept playing the role of clueless husband. I still kissed her cheek before work, still grilled burgers on Sundays, still asked my partner about the big deal we were closing. It was like living in a sitcom where the laugh track is just my inner monologue screaming, "Wait until you see what I've got planned." I wasn't just surviving toxic love. I was marinating in it, slow cooking the betrayal until the revenge would taste gourmet. And you know what? The longer I played dumb, the bolder they got. She left her phone out with baby name lists that didn't even match mine. He accidentally left receipts in his car for hotels 2 towns over. They were sloppy, arrogant, convinced I was still their personal ATM with feelings. That arrogance was the seasoning I needed, because nothing makes revenge sweeter than watching your enemies dig their own graves while complimenting themselves on their shoveling technique. I'll admit, there were nights I almost snapped. Nights where the anger was so raw, I wanted to storm into their little love nest and flip every table like a WWE wrestler on too much caffeine. But then I'd remind myself, calm down. Americans don't remember quiet divorces or civilized separations. They remember OJ. They remember scandals with headlines. They remember drama that makes the evening news. I wasn't going to be a footnote. I was going to be a cautionary tale whispered at barbecues. So I sharpened my plan. Business records in one folder, love letters in another, lawyer on speed dial, and a speech drafted that would make even Shakespeare say, "Damn, that's dramatic." Every detail, every angle, every backup plan was in place. When the night came, I'd flip their entire world upside down, and they wouldn't just lose me. They'd lose the business, the money, the reputation, the comfort. Betrayal had taken my family, but revenge was going to take everything from them. And as I lay there rehearsing it all in my head, staring at the ceiling fan spinning like the wheel of fate, I couldn't help but laugh. Because in a country obsessed with winning, they thought they'd played me. But the truth? I was the one playing them. And soon they'd find out the cost of toxic love wasn't just heartbreak. It was total annihilation. The night of the grand finale arrived, and let me tell you, it felt less like a company gala and more like I was hosting the Oscars of betrayal. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, jazz music floated through the air, champagne glasses clinked like the soundtrack to my impending revenge. Everyone showed up in their finest: investors, employees, friends, family, an audience perfectly curated to witness the kind of spectacle you don't just see, you remember. And there she was, my wife, radiant in a dress I bought, smiling as if her life wasn't about to implode. Next to her, my partner, smug as ever, patting his tie like the king of Wall Street, completely unaware he was seconds away from starring in The Betrayal Chronicles, Live Edition. I waited until the speeches began because timing is everything in America. You don't rush the Super Bowl halftime show, you build anticipation. My partner stepped up first, talking about our future, our growth, and our family values. Oh, the irony. Then it was my turn. I walked up to that microphone like a man possessed, but on the outside, calm, collected, maybe even a little too cheerful. That's the thing about revenge. You don't serve it with anger. You serve it with a smile that says, "I know something you don't." "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, voice steady, eyes scanning the crowd. "Tonight is not just about business. It's about honesty, loyalty, and trust." I paused, dramatic as a Netflix cliffhanger. Unfortunately, not everyone here values those things. And then, like a magician pulling rabbits out of hats, I produced the receipts, the text messages, the hotel bookings, the invoices for maternity clothes charged to our company. Gasps filled the room like a live studio audience. My wife's face drained of color faster than a cheap spray tan in the rain. My partner froze, eyes darting like a guilty politician caught on tape. But I wasn't done. Oh no, this was America. We don't settle for subtle. We go full fireworks show. I turned the big screen behind me on, and up popped a slideshow. Screenshots of their texts, photos of them entering hotels, even a little audio clip of them laughing about me being ATM with feelings. The crowd roared, not with laughter, but with the delicious shock of scandal. People love betrayal when it isn't theirs. My wife whispered my name, pleading, tears welling up like she was auditioning for a Hallmark movie. But sympathy? That ship sailed the moment she turned our family into a parody of love. My partner tried to interject, stammering about business misunderstandings, but I cut him off with the pièce de résistance. Documents showing how he funneled company money into his personal accounts, essentially stealing from the very investors seated in front of him. If betrayal was a sin, fraud was the cherry on top, and together they made the perfect recipe for annihilation. The room erupted. Investors stormed out. Phones were already recording, live streaming, tweeting. By morning, half the city would know. My partner's reputation didn't just take a hit. It was executed on stage, televised in HD, and uploaded to YouTube with a clickbait title. My wife? She collapsed into her chair, mascara running like a crime scene, realizing her toxic love story had no happy ending. And me? I raised my glass, toasted the crowd, and said, to betrayal, to infidelity, and to the revenge that makes it all worthwhile. The applause was thunderous, not because they liked me, but because Americans love a scandal with a clean ending. In the aftermath, it all unraveled exactly as I planned. My partner lost his position, his money, his investors, even his country club membership. Try ordering a martini in shame. It doesn't taste the same. My wife? She lost everything: the house, the credit cards, the reputation, the so-called family she thought she'd built on lies. She moved into some cheap apartment, belly growing, friends disappearing faster than coupons after Black Friday. Now here's the twist. Did I feel triumphant? Yes. Did I feel healed? Not exactly. Because betrayal doesn't vanish with revenge. It lingers like cigarette smoke on a thrift store jacket. I'd burned their lives to the ground, sure, but I still had to sit in the ashes of what used to be my family. The American dream. I once had the barbecues, the smiles, the golden retriever that was gone forever. But here's where the satire hits hardest. Instead of wallowing, I turned my story into a brand. That's right, I went full American entrepreneur. I wrote a book called ATM with Feelings: One Man's Journey Through Betrayal and Revenge. I gave motivational talks about spotting infidelity red flags. I even started a podcast, because in this country, pain becomes profit if you package it right. Betrayal had destroyed my marriage, but revenge had launched my career. And every time someone asked me if I regretted it, I just smiled. Regret? I'd say. No. Infidelity is the cancer of family. Betrayal is the weapon of cowards. And revenge is the cure. The conspiracy forums still debate my story. Some say I staged the whole thing for fame. Others think I exaggerated the drama. But the truth? Truth doesn't matter in America. What matters is the story. And mine had everything: cheating, toxic love, betrayal, family collapse, and a revenge ending so cinematic it could win an Emmy. So yes, she cheated on me with my business partner. Yes, she got pregnant with his child. And yes, I made sure she lost everything. But in the end, the real winner wasn't just me. It was the audience, the people who got to watch betrayal explode into poetic justice. Because nothing entertains America more than a scandal wrapped in revenge.